Introduction. So, let me guess. You've picked this book up because you just can't bear how cluttered your life and your space feels right now. You've already tried getting the clutter bug under control, but it has been impossible to make any lasting changes. You often wonder, am I just a messy person? When you visit someone's beautiful and organized home, you feel a tinge of envy and admiration. I wish I could be like them and have what they have. You may feel like you're stranded inside a dark tunnel with no ray of light visible anywhere, but trust me, you can turn your life completely around. No matter how bad your clutter is, you can clear it. The thought of living in a beautiful, organized home may feel like an impossible dream right now, but it can become a reality for you. How can I say all this with so much confidence and conviction? Because I know what you're going through. I've been there myself, and I am well aware of how excruciatingly painful it is to be surrounded by clutter. All my life, I struggled with clutter. As a little girl, when I was told to clean my room, I would gather all my scattered toys, shove them in a basket or two, and hide them under my bed. The thing was, I had an idea of what clean and tidy should look like on the surface, but I had no clue how to achieve it. My parents told me to clean my room, but there was no instruction on how to go about it. Can you relate to this? And if you're anything like me, you're also a perfectionist. You want to do everything exceptionally well, or else you just won't do it at all. You've tried to bring your clutter under control, but since you couldn't accomplish all the goals you had set for yourself, you just gave up and resigned yourself to a life of clutter and chaos. The most valuable piece of wisdom I've learned on my journey of decluttering and getting organized is this: anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. If you haven't cleaned your bathroom because you want to make sure that the toilet is perfectly scrubbed and bleached, the floors are washed, the grout between the tiles is scrubbed, maybe, for once, just start small. Think of the one thing you can do quickly that will make the biggest difference. Perhaps cleaning the toilet. Instead of trying to do the whole bathroom all in one go, just clean the toilet quickly. You can do it in under 5 minutes. I'm not suggesting that you shine it to a sparkle, but a short cleaning session would make a huge difference to how you feel about your clutter problem. In this book, I will give you clear, step-by-step instructions for getting your space and life organized. If you follow all the steps, you'll get the results you desire. Don't beat yourself up if you don't feel you are doing everything perfectly. As long as you are taking some action, you are moving in the right direction, and that's worth applauding and appreciating. I'll give you a mantra that I want you to keep with yourself for the rest of your life. It applies to all areas of life, and it definitely applies to decluttering and organizing. Doing something imperfectly is better than not doing it at all. If you can remember this short sentence and truly ponder the great wisdom contained within these few words, you will definitely conquer your clutter and achieve all your other goals in life. A little goes a long way. Even a small amount of progress will compound over time to become a huge transformation. Take your first baby steps right now. In the first chapter, I'll share with you my formula for setting realistic goals that you can actually achieve. These are the type of goals that make you feel empowered, not the type that leave you feeling inadequate or incompetent. But first, I want you to complete a task. Why am I asking you to complete a task in the introduction of the book before we even get to the first chapter? It's because I want you to start this journey with a win. And this little win will motivate you to take more action because you'll feel a sense of accomplishment right away. You see, in the past, every time you started a decluttering journey, you took your first steps feeling overwhelmed, perhaps even scared. You felt there was a mountain in front of you to climb, and you were quite certain that you'd fail. This time, I want you to start out differently. I want you to feel like a winner. I want you to be proud of yourself for picking this book and taking the first step. Perhaps you've been criticized and shamed for being a messy person by people close to you who do not understand what you are going through. You have always wanted to change. You just don't know how. I am proud of you because you are not one of those people who indulge in wishful thinking. By purchasing this book, you've proven that you are among a very few percentage of people who take action to change their life. To help you feel like a winner, here's what I would like you to do. Think of one thing you have been procrastinating on and do it right now. Make sure it isn't anything too big or excessively time-consuming. Perhaps the task for you would be putting that plate away that's been sitting on your desk for a week, or maybe finally putting your clothes in the washing machine. Maybe that task is cleaning your toilet. Just make sure that whatever the task is, it takes you no longer than 10 to 15 minutes. If you pick anything more time-consuming than that, you will start feeling overwhelmed. And then you might spiral downward into a whirlpool of negativity and self-flagellation. Once you have completed that task, give yourself a pat on the back and reward yourself in some way. Maybe you can enjoy a cup of coffee afterwards. Take the time to simply gaze at the sky. Listen to your favorite music, or do something else that feels truly good to your soul. Feeling good is essential on this journey. If you feel good about yourself and your environment, you will automatically be more motivated to keep it clutter-free. Reward is also a much stronger motivator than punishment. By rewarding yourself for the things you do right, you are building new neurons that will get you in the habit of winning daily. Just remember, life is not about the big wins. It's all about the small wins that, over time, add up to become huge transformations. Now, go and complete that one task you've been putting off. When you're done, reward yourself and come back to this book tomorrow. And I really mean it. Don't pick it back up before tomorrow. Take one step at a time. This time, you have me holding your hand, and I promise to take you to your goals. How to use this book. Since this is a workbook, I want you to work with it. If you want, you can read all the chapters at once, then come back to chapter 1 to start working on the exercises. This would help you get an overview of the type of exercises you will be performing while working through the workbook's contents. The important thing is to go slow, but remain steady with your progress. I am not expecting you to conquer your clutter overnight or even in a fortnight. You didn't create it in a day after all. It takes time to create change at a deep, fundamental level. It may feel tempting to skip some of the exercises, but I would caution you from doing so. Every single exercise has been carefully added to this book. It is there for a purpose. Following the sequence in which the workbook lessons and exercises have been presented will help you get the maximum benefit out of this book. Also, don't forget that simply reading this book won't help you conquer your clutter problem. Change can happen in your life if you regularly put into practice what you learn from this book. Being neat and tidy is a habit just as much as living with clutter is. You are retraining yourself to act, think, and live differently. It's a process that cannot be hurried. Every single exercise aids this process of transformation. If you are especially eager to get to the decluttering part, it may feel tempting to skip part 1 of the book. But don't do that. Even if you manage to successfully apply the teachings of the rest of the book, your chances of rebounding will be relatively higher if you don't build a strong foundation from which to launch your decluttering journey, which you'll do by completing all the exercises in part 1. Take your time to absorb the material in each chapter and work through one exercise at a time. Don't be in a hurry to get everything done. At the same time, don't allow yourself to procrastinate. Set a daily target of reading at least a few pages every day and complete the exercises contained within those pages. Stay consistent and persistent. The neat and tidy life you've always wanted to live is within your reach, and I am here to show you the way. Part 1. Preparing for the Transformation. Chapter 1. The power of your self-image and the importance of goal setting. You'll never get organized if you don't have a vision for your life. Linda L. Eubanks. I know what you're thinking. You desperately want to remove all the clutter from your life. Must you read a chapter on goal setting? I understand you, and trust me, I felt the same way. I would pick up a book on decluttering and then immediately start getting rid of things. I just didn't have the patience to do what I thought were superfluous things, like goal setting and creating a vision for what a decluttered life actually looks like to me. So what happened every time? I would go through these marathon decluttering sessions. My space would look neat and tidy for a while, but that never lasted more than 3 or 4 days. Clutter would make its way back into my life with a vengeance. The next time I would get around to dealing with my clutter, it always felt more overwhelming than the previous experience. I am not too proud to admit that almost every single time I tried bringing some kind of order to my space was when I expected guests over, or when things had turned so bad I couldn't live another day the way I had been surviving. Maybe you can relate to that. Over time, I realized that to facilitate any kind of lasting change, I needed to have a clear vision for what I wanted to achieve, and then set goals to turn that vision into a reality. Without a vision and proper goals, we are bound to remain caught up in a vicious cycle of decluttering and slipping back into a cluttered existence all over again. I really felt like a hamster on a wheel, trying to break free from my clutter. I was focusing too much on the negative instead of the positive experiences I wanted to create for myself. Yes, all I wanted was to get rid of my clutter, but I never gave much thought to exactly what I wanted my ideal space to look like. Does this sound like you? Another major impediment for me was my self-image. Our self-image dictates every single experience of our lives. We can't change anything in the external world without first altering the self-image from which every life experience springs forth. Trying to change things in the world without altering the self-image that gave birth to it is akin to fighting your reflection in the mirror. If you want to change what is being reflected back to you, then you must make changes to your appearance. There is no point fighting with the reflection you see in the mirror. If there is just one thing that you take away from this book, let it be what I will share with you about intentionally designing your self-image. If you can master this idea, then you can change every aspect of your life. Transforming your self-image. So what exactly is your self-image? Simply put, your self-image is the sum total of your ideas, beliefs, and perceptions about yourself. It's what you choose to believe to be true about who you are. In most cases, a person's self-image has been formed by the opinions of others. Were you told as a child that you are messy? Did you get yelled at frequently for apparently being terrible at taking care of your things and putting them back in place? Were you labeled as being untidy, shabby, clumsy, or other words that don't do much to lift up any child's self-esteem? These labels and perceptions seep so deep into our subconscious that we hold on to them as the truth, but none of these labels are true. You don't have to live your life being the person that someone else says you are. Science and psychology have isolated the one prime cause for success or failure in life. It is the hidden self-image you have of yourself. Bob Proctor. Who you want to be is entirely in your own hands. And today, you will make a commitment to become the person you have always wanted to be. The only thing standing between you and the person you desire to be is your attachment to your old self-image. Now is the time to let go of it. While we're discussing self-image in the context of decluttering and becoming an organized person, it applies to every area of life. I would highly recommend applying the principles you learn in this section to every area of life. I can guarantee you would be amazed by the transformation you'd experience. By creating a new self-image, you can create a new life for yourself. It doesn't matter where you are in life right now or what your past has been like. The only thing that truly matters is where you want to go and who you want to be. Your destiny is entirely in your own hands. Exercise 1.1. Write down all the words/phrases you believe to be true about yourself. This can include both positive and negative words. For instance, messy, disorganized, always late, fun, gentle, kind, etc. Circle all the negative words/phrases and write them down on a separate sheet. On another sheet, note down all the positive words/phrases you believe to be true for yourself. The second sheet would be like your cookie jar. Whenever you are feeling low, you can read this and remind yourself of all the wonderful qualities you have. Now, for each of the negative words/phrases, create a positive affirmation that counteracts it. For instance, if one of the words on your list is messy, you can write something like, I am an extremely neat and organized person. Keep in mind that affirmations are always written in the present tense. It's never, I will be. It's always going to be, I am, because you want to start believing that what you want has already happened. It is already your truth. Do this for every single negative word/phrase you have on your list. Make sure that you are using a positive word while writing your affirmation. For instance, don't write, I am disorganized. Instead, you can write, I am extremely organized. I have effective systems in place for managing my life and my space. Once you've written positive affirmations for all the words/phrases, take the papers, except the one where you wrote down the positive words that define you, and burn them. You can also just tear them apart and throw the remains in a body of water. As you do so, say this to yourself. I am lovingly releasing my old self. From this very moment, I am a different person. Every day, read the affirmations at least thrice. Morning, noon, and night. I strongly recommend you do this practice immediately after waking up and right before going to bed, as those are 2 times of the day when the doors of the subconscious are wide open. Hence, anything you practice during these 2 moments will have an amplified effect on your life. You also want to read these affirmations every time your mind starts telling you something negative about yourself. It is definitely going to happen because our self-image has been formed over time through repeated words and experiences. It takes time to bring out a complete transformation. I strongly recommend you continue this practice for at least 90 days. That may seem like a long time, but I promise you that your life will not remain the same if you can do this for 90 days.